Okay. Hello, YouTube subscribers. Just a fair warning. This video might be partially long. What this video is March 3rd, 2020 will be 9 months since I got my first job. I've kept my job for pretty much 9 months. And since we're approaching the 9-month anniversary, which is a milestone because it's the last month of the single digits and now we're entering into the double digits. 3 months away and it will be another year. And it will be a year, so we're 75% there. So since I consider this kind of a good milestone in progress, I want to talk about the struggle it took to get from before I was employed, which was June 2017, which was June 10th, 2017, which was the day I graduated, to June 3rd, 2019, the day I got employed. So here we go. June 10th, 2017. Obviously, yes, I graduated high school. Okay? Which, as you all know, at that period in time, I was interested in pursuing a career with the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Because if you've seen some of my previous videos, I actually met the Turnpike commissioners. Here's my picture with them. This was in 2014, June 17th, 2014. Met them in person. I made this thing that I'm holding, but that's another story for another day. Just to give you a backstory, I was really into the Turnpike, the Pennsylvania Turnpike. So, I would apply there. Didn't hear nothing from them, so I let it go. Because I kind of figured I burned my bridges with that, and I'll share a story on that later. So 2018 rolls around, which I'm in West Virginia. In 2017, also to cut back, shortly before I graduated, I also applied with the Ohio and West Virginia Turnpikes too. Since, if I couldn't get employed with the Pennsylvania Turnpike, I figured 2 different out-of-state toll roads. They're still toll roads, they're just in another state. I applied with the Ohio Turnpike. Well, I was going to apply with the Ohio Turnpike and customer assistance. Called them up one day and said, listen, I'm just graduating high school, so I have no work experience or whatever. Can I still apply for the customer assistance job? Want to know what they told me? They says to me, they go, well, unfortunately, we have over 200 applicants already in, and a lot of them have experience. We'd prefer experience. So I kind of knew then my odds were basically zero. Even though previous years past, the Ohio Turnpike said they would be interested in employing me. So that's the first job I applied to out of high school next to the Pennsylvania Turnpike. So that's 2. The West Virginia Turnpike is 3, which I applied to them as for a toll collector position. Didn't hear nothing back from them either. Then 4, in West Virginia, I applied at Tamarack, the best of West Virginia, which if some of you travel, that's in Beckley, West Virginia. And it's in Beckley, West Virginia, and what it is it's basically like an artisan center that has like a food area, and then it sells like arts and candy, homemade goods and stuff. That's what Tamarack is. Okay, so after I applied at them 4 jobs, didn't hear nothing, I let the rest of 2017 go. So 2018 rolls around. And we get out of West Virginia, go up to a town in PA. I'm not going to disclose where, but I don't like the area. It's on the eastern side of the state. Don't really care for the eastern side of the state. I'm still in the back. I'm still trying to apply for the Pennsylvania Turnpike. But anyway, I applied at 2 different ma and pa restaurants up where we was staying. Didn't hear nothing from them. They said they would consider calling me back. Told me to give me their number, my number and stuff, because they were interested. Never heard nothing from them. And then later on that year, in the summer of that year of 2018, I decided, since I wasn't getting a nibble out of the 6 jobs that I applied to so far, I'm like, maybe I'll go to college, get a college degree. Maybe that will also boost me a little bit with having that high school diploma over there and then that college degree. Maybe that will also help me get my main goal, which was a job for the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Well, actually, before this, there were 7 jobs that I applied to. And the 7th one is related to what this video is about, which was a struggle to get this one. I spent about a year trying to get it. As you all know, this part's going to be the longer section of the story. As you all know, May 2018, I do believe it was around May 10th of 2018, I applied at this hotel in New Stanton because I'm a huge fan of New Stanton. I loved New Stanton since 2010, so this was about 8 years going on. Been staying on and off in New Stanton. Used to stay at the Fox Den, and as a treat, my parents would take me to this one particular hotel, which I'm not going to disclose the name, but if some of you know who I am or watch previous videos, you probably have a general idea what hotel I'm talking about. But anyway, my parents took me to this hotel occasionally, and we'd spend a couple nights. I'd use the indoor pool and stuff like that. So in May of 2018, I met my boss, my now boss, which is the general manager there. And I said to her, I'm like, look, I loved this hotel since I was 12 years old. Can I get a job here? She gave me an application and told me to stay in touch with her and stuff. And that was it with that. I applied for housekeeping at the time, and I stayed in touch with her. About 2 weeks later after I applied, which this is when we're going to get to the 7th job, I moved to a KOA, Kampgrounds of America. It's another campground from where we were. We moved about 16 miles down the road. A little bit better of a campground, but that's besides the point. So a couple weeks later, this is in June of 2018, I call her up. I kept in touch with the general manager, my boss, and I call her up and says to her, I go, so when are you going to do these interviews and stuff for housekeeping? And unfortunately, she told me, well, this year we already got enough girls. So I knew then there was 6 jobs. Didn't get number 6 either. But that's a short story. I kind of gave up on working at the hotel for a while after that. At the end of June, applied at one more job, which was the campground that I was telling you guys about a minute ago. I applied there because I think they were hiring people to do like their office, which is basically just retail and a little bit of cleaning and stuff in their office. Guess what? Did I hear anything from them? Didn't hear nothing. So that kind of disappointed me. So right at the end of June, I decided, since I bought this laptop here, because I already decided earlier in the year, well, I might take up college. So I decided at the end of June to apply at the Harrisburg Area Community College. Some people may know it as HAC because they have an online program, and the school I graduated from was online. Got accepted into it, had to do a test. They said my math was good, but my reading was bad, so I had to take like an extra class on reading or whatever. But anyway, I applied for student loans or whatever. Didn't get it. I did get a loan, but the lady, when I called the college about it, she said this type of loan has high interest. So I'm like, well, since for one semester, for 4 classes, it's already $3,000 for one semester for 4 classes, mind you. I can't afford it. So I gave up college. And then there was another job later in the summer that I applied to, which was the town I live in. They were offering a job at this one little restaurant. And I applied there to be a dishwasher. And they said, oh, well, we'll get back to you in a couple weeks. Just let us know. So a couple weeks rolls around. And you want to know what the waitress said to me? She goes, we decided we aren't going to hire anybody else because I wanted 3 people and they had 2 at the time. So did they hire me? Nope. That's 8 jobs. But who's counting? So after that, we decided, after the restaurant deal and the college, we decided to go through OVR. Which, if you don't know, OVR is a service that works with disabled people. And I do have a disability, and we'll get to that too. Which you may say to yourself, well, this video ain't talking about how you got your job. It's talking about the struggle leading up to the day that I got hired is what it's doing. But anyway, I applied for OVR in July, the end of July of 2018. It took him till November 2018, which, mind you, in other places, like, again, in West Virginia and stuff, I was applying at other hotels, too. I applied to about 10 different jobs, so that's about 2 more jobs after that. Didn't get hired. But the 8 that I told you about, I can specifically remember. But anyway, finally, in November, the beginning of November of 2018, the OVR guy calls me and says, hey, I would like to meet with you and discuss some of the things you put in your application for services and stuff. But I can't meet with you till the end of the month. So after waiting almost 4 months to meet this guy, still couldn't meet him till the end of the month, almost the beginning of December. So finally, we meet the guy. We discuss a little bit about my goals and stuff, which one of my goals was the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Another goal, because I've been looking into it for a while, was the hospitality industry. AKA working in a hotel, maybe eventually owning a hotel. As a secret, I would love to own the hotel I work at someday. But that's besides the point. But anyway, we meet the guy and we discuss my career goals and stuff, and he says, okay, well, let's do an evaluation on you. So we're like, okay. And he's like, that could take about a couple months with the holidays coming up, Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that jazz coming up. So that could take about a couple months. So finally, towards the middle of December, we hear something from the people that are going to evaluate me to see what's fully wrong with me, what my capabilities are, stuff like that. So, just videos 13 minutes long. I don't care. But anyway, so they set up an appointment for January 7th, 2019. I go to the appointment, they do the evaluation and all that fun jazz. And they tell me it'll be about a couple more months, so pushing into about March, that I should hear back from them. Okay, so we're going to skip ahead. February. I then finally convinced my parents to take me back to the hotel I work at now to spend the night. So I go to the hotel and stuff and spend the night, spend my time there, start spending more time at New Stanton. And in March, I saw on their Facebook page, because they do have a Facebook page, which I will show you. Okay, I couldn't find it because it was a long time ago. But anyway, I will show you their Facebook page later on in the story, towards the end of the story. But anyway, March of 2019, sorry. I forget that this is 2020. March of 2019 rolls around, and I'm browsing through Facebook. I call it Facebook. And I see on their Facebook page, the hotel in New Stanton's Facebook page that I like, because I follow them. I like it. I grew up there. I see that they're hiring front desk. So I can remember the exact date, March 7th, 2019. I come down, I get an application, which, mind you, at this point we're back in West Virginia, thank God. I love West Virginia. But I come down, get an application, apply for front desk. About, give or take, the end of the month comes. Mind you, I put my application my application for front desk in the back of my mind, which on my application there was other positions, because I kind of knew I wouldn't get hired for front desk. So on the other positions, I again put housekeeping. So about the end of March rolls by. End of March, I don't hear nothing from the hotel, but it's kind of in the back of my mind, because then the OVR guy calls to discuss the evaluation results. So mind you, he doesn't want to meet till about April 24th. So gotta wait another whole month to know what my evaluation results are. But before the evaluation results, sorry about that fire alarm that you hear in the background, if you do hear it. Before my evaluation results, I was celebrating my 20th birthday. And then April 16th, I went back to the hotel in New Stanton to spend a couple days there for a late birthday gift. My parents let me stay there for a late birthday gift. And I'm staying in my favorite room, which is 311. Love that room. But you all probably have seen it in a hotel tour if you watched past videos. So some of you might know what hotel it is, but I don't care. I stayed in my favorite room, and on April 16th, it's either April 16th or 17th, it was during my 2-day stay, I talked to my boss, Teresa. And I says to her, I'm like, hey, did you get the people for front desk? And she goes, yes, I did. And she goes, I would hire you, but unfortunately, you live 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away. It's kind of pretty far for me to hire you. And I says to her, I understand that, but here's the thing. I want to move here to New Stanton. I'll do whatever it takes. I want to move here. And then she says, okay, well, I see that you also applied for housekeeping. I plan on opening up a couple positions in a couple weeks for housekeeping. So give me a call in about a couple weeks. And we'll discuss more about it, okay? And I'll maybe consider putting you in that position. And I'm like, okay, no problem. So April 24th rolls by. About a day or so before, I was going to call my boss, Teresa. Well, actually, after that conversation, because it sounded like I was already going to be hired right there and then, after convincing her, I go up to 311, and I says to myself, I'm like, did I just get a job? Which I was absolutely right. I technically did, because I'm working here now. But anyway, that was a side note. Back to the story. April 24th, I meet with the OVR guy in the town I live in. We go over my evaluation results. These are the results of what is wrong with me, which if you cannot see them, I'll read them off to you. Autism spectrum disorder without intellectual impairment. I'm at a level 2, which for autism there's 3 levels. Level 1, 2, and 3. 1's being the least severe and 3's being severe. So I'm in the middle. And without intellectual impairment basically means I'm not what used to be referred to as MR, mentally retarded. Okay. Delusional disorder, unspecified type without bizarre content. What that basically means is my highways, the fact that some of you, if you've seen a previous video in the past where I talked about my autism and stuff, which I think that's related to autism, it's because I talked to highways and stuff. That's another story for another day, unless I can find that video and then I'll link it in here. Okay, the next one is unspecified depressive disorder, which I do have depression, which it's actually clinical. Then I got specified learning disorder with impairment in reading, and specified learning disorder with impairment in mathematics, which I also have anxiety disorder too. They didn't include that. But those are all the issues I have. And so what the OVR guy basically told me was, what the OVR guy basically told me was, you're not gonna be able to you're gonna have a hard time taking post-secondary education, and you're gonna have a hard time in the hospitality industry and working in a hotel. You're gonna have a hard time with any job, really. So basically, he kind of recommended that I apply for SSI, which the look on my face says it all. I don't care for being on disability. I don't care. I mean, I'm doing it. Why am I doing it? Because I have my job now, and I don't really make that much as a housekeeper. That's another story for another day, but I don't like it. I don't like it. I'd rather work. I'm one of the people who wants to get out there and work. So I was upset that day, crying and everything else. But luckily, a couple days rolled by, and I called Teresa, my boss, and I says to her, I'm like, so it's been a couple weeks. Any new updates or anything? And she says to me, she's like, well, I'm going to get surgery, so I'm going to be out for a couple weeks. But once I get back, I plan on doing interviews. So give me a call again in another couple weeks. And I'm like, okay. Then at the beginning of May, I did go to the hotel and stuff. I did go to the hotel. I spent a couple nights there, walked around New Stanton, walked to the dollar store that New Stanton got. Oh, also, another job that I applied for that I know of was the Crackle Barrel in New Stanton. Applied for a dishwasher there. Didn't hear nothing. But that's a side note. So I spent some time in New Stanton at the hotel I like. Couple weeks later, I called Teresa again because she's come back from her surgery. She tells me about a couple more weeks, and I plan on doing interviews. I'm trying to catch up with having a couple weeks off from my surgery. And I'm like, okay. Well, May 22nd, 2019. Here's their Facebook page. You might be able to recognize it. This comment rolls up. We will be doing open interviews on Friday, May 24th, 2019, from 1 to 4 for housekeeping. And I read it that night, and I thought to myself, oh shit, my opportunity is over. It's out the window. And so I had to convince my parents to drive me up to New Stanton to spend the night. Which I spent the night, which I will show you what I looked like on the day of my interview. So back to the story. I spent the night at the hotel that I love. Unfortunately, I didn't get to stay in 311 because somebody was up in 311, so I had to stay in 211. But the next day, I got all nice and dressed for the interview. That's what I looked like. I looked pretty nice there. Got all nice and dressed. Walked downstairs to get ready for it. And Teresa walks in and says, well, since you're here early, I will interview you early so that way you can get on going back to West Virginia. I'm like, okay. The interview process was pretty easy. Nothing too difficult. Nothing too difficult. And basically, she tells me, Teresa says, I'll call you by next Wednesday. So I'm like, okay, which May 29th was next Wednesday of 2019. So May 29th rolls around. Which, may I mind you too, also during the interview, I did have to persuade her again about the address thing. Because I live 2 hours away. I'm like, I want to move to New Stanton, so I'm persuading you. So May 29th rolls around, and I don't hear nothing from her. And so finally, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I decided to take the step, because I kept calling her, I kept in touch with her. I take the step and I call her. She says to me, I was just thinking about you. And she says, since you really want this, I will give you a shot. I finally got approved for my first job. And she says, do you want to start this weekend or do you want to start Monday? And I said, let's start Monday. So after I hung up the phone, I started bawling because that was the happiest moment of my life. I got hired somewhere. It's not with the Pennsylvania Turnpike, but now I have new goals because I do love that hotel. So I'm happy I got hired there. So I was crying because I was freaking happy. So June 3rd, 2019 was my first day I walked in for work as a housekeeper. It is now February 28th, 2020. We're approaching the 9-month mark. And let me tell you something. Every day that I do have this job is an absolute blessing after the struggle I had to go through. So basically, if you stuck around this entire video, let me tell you something. Don't let your struggles get to you. Because if you keep fighting for what you want, you are going to get it. No matter if you're disabled, if you're just a normal simpleton, doesn't matter. If you keep fighting, you're going to get it. So that's why I wanted to make this video to share with you the long story of how I got my job. So I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all have a good day. Which, if you want proof that the 3rd of June was on Monday, there you go. June 3rd. So I hope you all have a good day. Like and subscribe. Sorry this video was probably the longest video I ever made, but I figured to share my story. Bye, everybody.